life was never the same. That was so great to be that powerful and that loud. And it was a really great band.
Hello and welcome to Where the Living Room Used to Be, a podcast about Rhode Island's music scene. Hey everyone, it's James. My guest on this episode is Gail Greenwood, and it was quite an honor to get to talk with her. In our interview, we discuss her start at some local clubs here in Providence with her band, The Dames. We also talk about the unique practice spot that Boneyard had, the serendipitous way she joined Belly, some of the logistics of playing in L7, and why her latest band, Benny Sizzler, got its start. So with this, we cover a lot of things such as writing, recording, touring with all of these bands, and the long list of incredible artists that she's shared the stage with. So hope you enjoy the episode. Please subscribe, and as always, follow along on Facebook and Instagram using the handle @LivingRoomUTB to see some photos from Gail's time in music. Gail, thank you for your time. I'm really looking forward to talk to you about your career and about Rhode Island's music scene. I think you have just been a major part of it, so I'm excited to hear your thoughts on this.
Thanks for having me, James. I hope I can remember everything. It's been a long time. I'm sure everybody my age says that. I'll just make it up.
Yeah.
Just create a myth.
Yeah. So, you're a lifelong Rhode Islander. You grew up in Barrington, correct?
Correct.
Can you talk about what that experience was like for you growing up, and like your earliest memories of music?
Yes, I would say that growing up in Barrington was great. I had a really great family. We lived in a little house on the west side of town. Even though Barrington is a rich town, I didn't live in the rich part of town. But we didn't know that. We thought we had everything. My mom did play the piano. My dad played the harmonica in the Pawtucket Boys Club harmonica band.
Wow.
So he was great. Cool. He was, and he played on the radio once. And so there was always music around, but not really any rock music or anything. My two older sisters were into the Beatles, and I think that was probably it. I got a guitar. I got an acoustic guitar when I was 14. I took guitar lessons from Dominic Scalero in Bay Spring. I don't know if any of your listeners remember him. He was a great guitar teacher. Okay. And my dad, I needed a nicer guitar, and my dad took me up to, I think it was, it might have been Avery Piano in a guitar shop. Or maybe, I can't remember. And he bought me a nicer guitar, and we weren't supposed to tell my mother how much it cost. And I think it was like $40. Yeah. So I played acoustic. And then when I was in the junior high marching band, so I played baritone horn. So, I was familiar with the bass clef. And then after high school, I met up with Cindy Ballou, Janet Dansereau, from Barrington. They went to Barrington High School as well, and we started a band called The Dames. But before that, I had never played, and then I picked up the electric bass, so I played bass in that band. And then we had Jeff Adams played baritone saxophone, and Seth Ballou played drums. So that was my actual first real band. I never had a band in high school. I wish I did, but I only had a band after high school while I was going to RISD. I took a few years off. I took a few gap years. And then when I was at RISD, we started the Dames. I think that's about the time frame. Okay. So, I just
what were you listening back to then? Like, were you, what was...
Oh, what kind of music was I listening to? Well, when I was a kid, I loved Neil Diamond. It was the Jonathan Livingston Seagull soundtrack. It was all orchestral. There wasn't any vocals at all. And I really loved it. And it was just, and then so I would say like earliest recollection of bands or music that inspired me to want to make music as well would be probably freaking Neil Diamond. And then I got into funk. When I was in high school, I was really into funk, like Parliament and Ohio Players and Brick and all these funk bands. And so that's why I started playing bass, actually, because I wanted to be a funk bass player. But I just didn't have it. Just,
it's a high standard,
really Yeah, I thought I was all satchy, but it wasn't. Yeah, I couldn't really play funk as well as I wanted to, or and I had no reason or no right to. So that's when I started switched over to like rock bass. But at that time, bands like Talking Heads were popular, Go-Go's, Bangles, trying to think of some of the bands like In Excess. These were bands when the Dames first started, we did covers. So we were all learning our instruments. Cindy was learning electric guitar. I was learning bass. Janet already knew how to play keyboards. Yeah. And Seth was already an awesome drummer. So we just we did covers. And our very first show was at Avery Piano, because that's where Cindy worked, which I don't think is there anymore. It was next to PPAC in Providence.
Oh, yeah, okay.
It was an old piano store. Yeah. So that was our very first show. And then we just kept playing. And then we started writing our own songs. Cindy was a great lyricist. She still is a writer. She works for the state right now. She works for the Parks Department. She's in their marketing department. She's a great writer, and she wrote all of our lyrics. Okay. And we collectively wrote the music. So then we started playing the clubs. I think the first club we ever played was the Cage, which then was run by James McGrath. He owned the Cage and Rocket, which then went on to become Club Babyhead. Yep. But James McGrath, I credit him, and I never credited him enough, actually, but I credit him with giving all of my bands the start in life. He was so great. He was so nurturing. The Cage was a really cool club, and then he closed the Cage and opened the Rocket, which was on Richmond Street. And just the greatest person. Now, believe it or not, he is the president of Western Michigan University's law school. He's the president of the law school. Wow. At Western Michigan U. Can you believe that?
That's so cool. Yeah.
And he was one of the original, like, I think he was really big in ACT UP, and it was just really great. He was an activist, but also, anyway, long story short, he was very nurturing, and he gave every band a chance. And we were horrible. We didn't know what the fuck we were doing. We were terrible, but he gave every band a chance, and he was so encouraging. And he had his own band, which was called Parallel Fifth, which was hilarious. So that's an old school band. If you mention it to somebody around my age, they remember Parallel Fifth. And so we played with them all the time. And that's probably where it started. So we would go from the Cage to Rocket. Those were the first clubs that gave the Dames, my first band, our start and encouragement. Yeah.
And how did it feel being in that band? Like, did it kind of give you that spark to play more music at that?
Yes. Yep. It did. It was great. I mean, some of my lifelong friends I met from being in, I'm still friends with the girls and the Dames, but we played with bands called That'll Learn Ya, Neutral Nation, Rash of Stabbings, trying to think of What Now, Camera Ready. I'm trying to think of all these old bands that we used to play with, but most of them, and people that worked at the club, Joanne Seddon, Queen of Chaos, is one of my best friends. Elise Press, DJ Elise, was the DJ at Rocket. I mean, I met all these people in the 80s, and we're still friends to this day. I mean, it's funny, they've gone on to different careers, and some of them are still in music, but and then Joanne owned the Decatur. Do you know the Decatur? The bar that used to be, Joanne owned the Decatur for years, so she went on to do that. So I made tons of friends. It was great playing music. We learned so much. Lots of tears. It's funny that you mentioned the name of the show. Your show is Where the Living Room Used to Be, because nobody made me cry as many times as Randy Heen. I know he's beloved. I know he's beloved, and yes, he is. But he was always just like, always making me cry. I don't know, because we were terrible, and we were like begging and pleading to get on shows, and he couldn't be bothered. He wasn't really interested in the kind of bands that.
Oh, like he would turn you guys down when you like ask for a show.
Yeah.
Wow. All right.
Crying. And I remember we played a show and there were a lot of people there and they went in to get paid and he had $50 for us. Now this is like 1985 or something. And I just said, $50, there's 4 girls in the band. How can you expect, or 4 people in the band, how do you expect us? And he's like, that's what you're getting. And I just remember crying. And then my band, Benny Sizzler, has played shows in 2019 where at the end of the night, we got motherfucking $50. So I'm just like,
yeah.
The inflation.
I know.
1985, we were doing fucking pretty good.
Yeah.
So I just remember crying about that. But you know who was great? I don't know if you've talked to Bob Giusti. Do you know Bob Giusti?
Yeah, I know him. I haven't had his name come up a lot. I need to do it.
Is he in the Tall Teenagers? I think he's in.
He plays in so many bands. Yeah, he's with Eric and the Nothing.
Eric and the Nothing. Yeah, okay, right. We just played with them. They're fabulous.
Yeah.
He worked in the office at the living room, and so he had a soft spot, and he always got us on bills. So I mean, everybody will talk about it back in the day, and you talk about how I felt to be in the Dames. It was just like. Nobody had a right playing with some of the bands that we did, but that was when you could play with national bands. And you probably, later years, the packages would come through and they'd have their own opening act with them. But before, back in the day, it would just be a headline and they would put local bands on the bill.
Exactly. Yeah.
And, that's how, it was just, that's so, what an opportunity to play with so many people like Social Distortion and Gangrene and, I can't even think about half the bands we played with. Lime Spiders, Ramones, Husker Du. Oh my God, Green Day. I mean, when these bands were first starting out, Poison. It's just the Pandoras. Some of the shows that we were on were just amazing. So it was great. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. And
so the Dames were great. The Dames are I cut my teeth on being in a band.
Yeah.
So
and I remember reading that you won the WBRU Rock Hunt. Is that
Yes, correct? We did. I can't remember. I think it was 1986 or 1985.
Okay.
We beat Tom Keegan in the Language, and that was a big deal because they were huge. They were very huge. Yes, that was very exciting to win the WBRU Rock Hunt. That was really great, and we really pulled it together for that. We had a whole horn section. I mean, we pulled out all the stops. We knew about showmanship too. Like, I'm not a shoegazer. When I play, I like a show. I like to go see a show. I like to see a Prince. I like to see a show. So I try to give a show, and I think that's what we did too. Is full costumes and the whole thing. More theatrical than anything else.
Wow, I love it.
I was a RISD student after all, so
got to put some design into it,
everything has to have a design in it.
Yeah.
So that was fun. Those were heady days. Those were really great. That was super fun.
And then what was the next band that you connected with? Was that Boneyard?
Yep. Then I played with Boneyard, and I got into Boneyard. Well, we were in a metal band called Hyphen, which played one night only at Rocket, and we were the drummer for Hyphen said that they were looking for a guitar player, and I went, I think I know one, and I said I'd love to audition. So I auditioned with Boneyard, which is a Worcester band, which is Jack Praskovitz, Gene Severance, may he rest in peace. He passed away in 2006. And Chill Mott, and then me. So they were Worcester kids that moved down to Providence for the scene, for the music scene.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a hardcore band, more of a punk rock band. Then the Dames were more pop and really melodic. And so it was a different thing. So I played guitar with, through a half stack. I had to go get a half stack. I was playing through some tremo verb, whatever. I had a fucking beautiful semi hollow body, blue Rickenbacker, 1960s. And I sold it for a green SG, which I actually still have. I still have an SG. I think it's in this room somewhere. And then got a Marshall half stack. And then life was never the same. That was so great to be that powerful and that loud.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a really great band. That was another band that James McGrath at the Rocket put us on every awesome show, every band that came through. SNFU, which, believe it or not, introduced me, Chai Pig, may he rest in peace. He just passed away a couple of months ago. He introduced me to Biff Naked, who's a Canadian artist, and by saying, "You know who you remind me of?" And I was like, "No, who's that?" "My friend Biff Naked, the bigger titted, prettier version of you." And I was like, "Oh, nice. I'd like to meet this girl." And we did. And we're best friends. We're lifelong, So so there's another friend I met through friggin' punk rock, through my friend Chai Pig. God damn. Bigger titted, prettier version of you. And younger. I think he said younger too. So that was, we played with, that would have been Social Distortion, Ramones, the super heavy bands that came through. That was a really great band. A real band that really helped us out a lot with the Goo Goo Dolls when they were a rock trio. And we played with them all the time, and we took a liking to each other, and they brought us up to Buffalo, and we did a lot of like northern New England and upstate New York tours with them, and up as far as Montreal. And they were great guys. So we were super fans of theirs. And they gave us our first dogs, Edith and Onion. So we had
how did that come about?
These two puppies. They had a dog that had puppies, George, the drummer. And they were like, "We're trying to find homes for these puppies." And we were up there staying with them, and we just said, "We'll take them." So Chill and I ended up with Edith and Onion. So your old rock listeners know, everyone knows Edith and Onion from the rock scene. These guys lived at a house called Cortlandt Street on Cortlandt Street. And it was just like the rock and roll shithole that you can only, imagine. And the dogs were there, and those were fun times. But anyway, so that was, that's Boneyard. Chill Mott, who is my partner now. He was the bass player, and he's who I'm in Benny Sizzler with. So that was a very important band for me to meet my life partner. And best friends with Jack Praskovitz, a.k.a. Sluggo, who's the drummer, who lives right up the road in Tiverton. So, you know how it is. You meet there's a lot of bands with people that, of course, you never want to see again as long as you live. But there's the bands that the band members, not you, of course. You love everybody in your bands.
I do, yes.
Yes. I've got a few of that. But you meet lifelong friends through playing music with them, and you've been, you're sleeping in a van together. This shit. You're waist high in the shit together with these people. They're the only people that you can share those stories with. No one else in the world can share those stories. Yeah. But Boneyard was great. Boneyard had great songwriting, and Gene was our singer. Gene Severance was our singer, and he had a beautiful voice. And so it was a punky, hardcore band, but it also had like a great singer with like great melodic voice. Yeah. And it was a different kind of a band. It was really, I really loved it. It was great. Gene and I both played guitar in that band. Chill played bass, and Sluggo played drums. So, I never remember laughing so hard as being in a van with those guys or practicing with them. Sluggo is just one of the funniest people on the planet. Yeah. And we're trying to get him to play drums again, but he was a great drummer.
Were you based out of Providence?
Yeah,
time?
we rehearsed at Riverside Mills, which burned to the ground with all of our equipment. We rehearsed under, a beautiful old mill. It was kind of over near Atlantic Mill. There's all the old beautiful mills are all burning, which is sad. But it was probably one that my dad actually worked in when he was 11 years old, sweeping the floor, I'm sure, unfortunately. But it was an old textile mill that burned to the ground in, I can't remember what year it was now, but all our equipment burned. It was in our practice space. We rehearsed under a half pipe called the Chip that a lot of skaters from Rhode Island skated at, and people from all over came there. And we built a rehearsal space under one end of the half pipe. So we were actually under the half pipe. So we would be rehearsing with kids skating over us. It was so cool. It was really great. But there was a fire and it literally burned to the ground. Anthony Paolino was the mayor then, though, and he was actually pretty decent for the arts in Rhode Island, and they gave bands, there's a lot of bands practice there, grants, arts and musics grants, so that they could replace their equipment.
Yeah.
And we only got like $2,000 or something, but we felt like we never sounded the same again. I mean, there was just something about like everyone's guitar and amp and, you work to coalesce and get that sound to gel. Yeah, and you buy new equipment and we felt like we lost something during that fire and we never quite got our sound back again. I had a beautiful green half-stack, Marshall half-stack that was houndstooth. It was a very rare green. I've never even seen it on the internet. I bought it at Rick's Music World. It was like, I swear to God, there was just one ever made. And I've never seen it again. I've searched to this day. I wonder if there's still that green houndstooth. But, luckily nobody was hurt, obviously. That would have been horrific. A couple of dogs died that lived in the mill.
Oh, really?
Not our dogs, but yeah, so that was very sad. And a lot of businesses and livelihoods it was crazy. Yeah.
Wow.
But Boneyard survived. We rose through the ashes and we continued to play on after that.
Yeah, okay. So how long were you in Boneyard for then?
I think Boneyard was I think it was about 5 years. It was probably about 5 years. Yeah. And mostly touring with the Goo Goo Dolls. That's like the most I remember about like touring wise was lots of shows with those guys. Yeah. When they were a rock band. I mean, they're great now. They're a different kind of a band right now. But they were really great back then. They were super powerful trio. They were just so great live. Really great.
Did you do any recording with Boneyard?
The thing is, this is what slackers we were. Like, I know what people want to say, like, there's a lot of careerist bands and something like that. And, people try to pretend they're DIY or they're just like, we don't give a fuck and we're just a rock band. We really didn't give a fuck. We were just a rock band. We hardly ever made an effort to we did go up to Robbie Goo's studio, Trackmaster in Buffalo. I think everybody was drunk and maybe the engineers were smoking pot. I'm not really sure. We weren't 100% happy with what we ended up with. Yeah. Put out a few cassettes, but we never made the effort to send anything to a record label or, I think somebody gave something to somebody, I think at Sub Pop, and they supposedly liked us, but we never followed up. We just were really literally living in the moment. I mean, that's
cool though.
Yeah, we did not have any ambition to go further than just play a kick-ass live show. And I don't know what would have happened if we had tried to get a label or something, but 100% true slacking. That's what we were doing. We were true slackers. So, and I guess to some degree I'm proud of that, but then at the same time, I'm like, well, we don't really have a record of what we really sounded like, I've
heard there's some live stuff. Is that what I think that I've...
Yeah. There's some live stuff. There's a video that Chill put together that Jeff Adams shot. Fuck Me, I Deserve It is the name of the song. Beautiful song. Fuck Me, I Deserve It. And lovely tune. Lovely tune for the children. Yeah. So there's a few live things, but nothing I don't know. I mean, I feel like I need to go through all my cassettes and see whether there might be something that could be remastered or something like that.
Okay.
But I loved the band. I thought it was a really great band.
That's cool. Yeah.
It was super fun.
So how did you connect with Belly then?
So Boneyard broke up and I was devastated because I had been in bands. You know, I went from one band to the next and I didn't know what I was going to do. And we were surfing a lot. We moved to Middletown, Rhode Island. We're surfing and there were some surfers that were friends with, what was his name? Tom Karen? He was a pro surfer that came over to our house. He was a professional surfer that's also, he was like the world champion. These bands would come over, the guys would come over and jam in our basement because we had a practice space in the basement, and we still do.
Okay.
We still have that same house. And there were pro surfers jamming in the basement, and there was this other guy surfing that he's a surfer guy that was in town, and he just told this kid, Chris Gorman, who was in Belly, who is a surfer, who he just said, yeah, we're looking for a bass player. And he just said, I was just at this chick's basement, Chill and Gail's basement, and she's playing guitar, but you should ask her. Totally random. So I get this phone call from Chris Gorman, who I didn't know. I knew he was in the band Verbal Assault. I knew of the band Verbal Assault from behind, but I was just like, what? You know, so weird. So a surfing connection. So I auditioned for them. I knew of the Throwing Muses, obviously. They were competitors of the Dames, although they didn't know it. We were competitive with them, but they didn't even know we existed. They were so fabulously above and beyond all of us in Rhode Island. Although I'm not throwing the Dames under the bus, we were good too. But so I knew of the Muses and I knew of Tanya Donnelly, and I knew that she had done stuff with the Breeders. They were starting this new band called the Breeders, and I didn't know that she was starting her own band. Called Belly. I didn't know about that. So they sent me a demo tape. It was incredible. It was the demo tape to Star. It hadn't come out yet, the first Belly record, and it blew my mind. Yeah. It was heavy. It was melodic. The lyrics were insane. It was textural. It was, I don't know, so above and beyond anything I had ever really been, privileged to play on or be a part of. I'm not throwing any of my other bands under the bus, believe me, but it was just something so original. I had never heard anything like it. So they actually auditioned me in my basement, which is kind of funny because they didn't have a practice space. So I actually think that's how I got the gig, because I'm like the guy that has the PA or the van. I'm the lady.
Well, we got to hang out with Gail because she's got the practice space.
I swear to God. I swear to God.
Wow. Okay.
And I was really nervous. And then they had a European tour, a UK tour, I think, of shows in England, and they had to go right away. And I wasn't ready I didn't know the songs yet. So Leslie Langston, who was in the Throwing Muses as a bass player, she agreed to fill in. Fred Abong had quit Belly. That's why I was called in.
After the first record, right?
Right, after the first record. And he never toured with the record. He just recorded with them. And so Leslie Langston actually had to practice in my basement with Belly so they could go play in Europe. And I was just like, you guys really did pick me because you needed a practice space. But it was interesting. I actually sat there and I watched Leslie play, and she's phenomenal. And I could actually see like some of the parts I was having some trouble with. It was neat to see. It was like an instructional YouTube video before they had YouTube, and I could actually sit there and watch her play.
Yeah.
So that's how I got that gig. And then right away when they came back, we went, I think in February, we went over to England. My first show was in front of very many people, and I was very nervous. I think it was it Manchester University? I think it was at a school. They had to keep making the venues bigger. They booked out the band into small clubs, and then the record was doing so well that they were selling out, and they just kept making the venue sizes, going to bigger venues. So before I know it, we were playing big theaters, and it was definitely getting thrown in. I mean, I came from a punk rock, kids in a mosh pit, 40, 50 people, running around with bloody teeth, and to go into like proper audiences. And it was a trip. Yeah.
Yeah. So, how long did you have then to prepare from that?
I think it was just a couple of months.
Okay.
So they went over to England, and I just like really woodshed while they were gone. I just like really tried to learn that record and learn it, and I think they were able to actually even maybe send me Fred's bass parts so I could listen to his soloed out parts, as I think about it now. That might have been. But I was nervous. I mean, I had been playing guitar primarily for the last 5 years. I hadn't played bass since the Dames. So, was learning, basically like relearning a whole new instrument again, and getting my sound right. And, I feel like I'm still working on it, but, so I think it was just like a couple of months before it really started taking off, and I found myself in this really amazing situation. I was so lucky. I mean, I really won the lottery. I mean, that was so fortuitous, and Tanya's my best friend, and, the band is great. We're playing together again, and, it's really amazing. Music is amazing.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what is it like, you played on their second record, second record, King.
What
was it like, being more in the fold with the band and writing with them, and being more integrated and part of that? What was that like for you?
That was really exciting. It's like, because obviously Star was a lot of, mostly, I think it was a lot of Tanya's demos. And I was impressed that she was open to co-writing. I didn't really know, but when we started working on King, she just was like, do you have any riffs? Do you have any songs? And I was oh my God, yeah, I have 4 tracks full of shit, and just was like so much stuff. And so I just brought some things in, and then we started working together as a band, and Tom writes a lot, obviously. And he still writes and plays on his own now. He's in a band he has his own band called Disappearing Dreams. They're fabulous. But anyway, we were writing together. We rehearsed right near the airport in Newport Airport. It was like sort of a hangar building. We had rehearsal there, and that's where we just did all pre-production for the record and wrote the record there. And it was really neat to be part of the actual creative process. I mean, I love performing. That's like my number one thing. I love that. So I was satiated with that. That's fine. I mean, if that's all I ever had to do was jump around like an idiot in front of a bunch of people, I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
And sing backup.
Yeah.
But being asked to be a creative was really an honor. It was really wonderful.
Yeah. And then the band disbanded, and it took, I guess it was probably about like a 20-year break.
Yes.
And but in 2016 it reformed and did some reunion tour, reunion shows. There was a secret show, right, in Newport?
Yes.
Right? Or where was that? What was that?
That's at a club called the Parlor. There's a Parlor in Providence, this was the Parlor in Newport. And our friend Boofish owns it, and he put in a whole new sound system for us and everything. He like really hooked us up, and it was it was like a surprise show because we hadn't played together in public in 20 years. So it was wonderful to do it in front of friends and family, and that's who it was. It was my whole family and all my friends and the locals, and it was really a great way to warm up.
How did you keep it a secret?
I don't know how we did that. And I don't know. It sold out. So I don't know how. I mean, it's a small club. So I don't know how we did that.
Yeah. Okay.
I think we were just nervous enough that we kind of wanted no one to go because we sort of just wanted to play to an empty club. I think that might have been the idea, was to just play in an empty club at first, but then we just said, oh, what the fuck, let's just
invite a couple of people.
Yeah. So we turned it into a full rock show. So that was exciting. That was it was really weird. Then right after that, I think we flew to, I think the UK was before we came back and did the US. So yes, that was a strange time for me. Like, we won't get into this because it's a long sordid tale, but I had cancer. So I found out during the reunion rehearsals 2016 that I had endometrial cancer, and that I needed to have surgery, which we thought was fine. And we thought we were going to have surgery, and then I'd be healed from my surgery to go do the first date in England, which was 6 weeks out. But the biopsy came back and they found out that it had metastasized. So I needed to have chemotherapy. So we thought I could just have the surgery, so I had to break that to the band, and it was just like devastating, because here we were, we rehearsed all this to get together 20 years later. And then, I might not be able to tour, I credit Women and Infants Hospital and my girl, Sheila Enderby, who's the chemo nurse navigator over there. And I just said, I get this is the craziest thing. And I know everybody that cancer never comes at the right time. And I totally get it. And I'm not trying to be, my pain is special, but I'm just like, I'm in a freaking band that's going to England in, 3 weeks. Can I do this? And she just said, yes, as long as you start your first treatment when you come back. And then I said, but then we have a US tour that's all summer. And I said, can I do it? And she was so amazing. She just said, as long as you invite me to the show in Ireland. So there was none of this, like, no, you can't tour on chemo. You can't, there was no the scariness. It was just this wonderful, positive experience. I mean, I can't say enough about the women's health at Women and Infants Hospital and my friend Sheila. So, who she's become a dear friend to. I knew that at that show, I thought it would have been, like, for me personally, it would have been like, wow, we haven't been together 20 years. This is really amazing. But in the back of my head, I was like, oh shit, I got to start chemotherapy in 3 weeks. And that's another whole thing. So, but we did it, I was bald, but I wore a wig, and I would just do my treatment, and then we would just somehow, the schedule worked out. My chemo was scheduled around the tour, and I was still able to make my appointments right on time, but still able to do all the shows and did not miss a show. I mean, I didn't feel great all the time, but for the most part, it was just the adrenaline. And I think it was the best thing because it helped me get through it. Just the adrenaline of the shows helped me get through treatment. So. Yeah. And my band couldn't have been more awesome. And my boyfriend Chill came to England. He was like my emotional support dog. And he was our roadie. And everyone was just so super supportive and nice. So it was a really kind of an amazing summer. Even though I was getting treatment, it was a really, really wonderful memory.
Yeah.
So that was kind of heavy. I didn't mean to drop that turd on you.
No. I mean, thank you for sharing that.
No, I guess that's just why I'm trying to think about, like, how did it feel to be on tour? And I was just like, oh, yeah, that's right. I was trying to remember, like, oh yeah, I was getting chemotherapy and I was bald and my hair was falling out on stage. So I forgot. So that was going on that summer. And then
I remember reading that back in 2016, you guys had started writing some new stuff and was premiering it. Were others some of the songs that you had premiered in 2016 that made it to Dove, or were they?
Yep, 2 songs. We did 2 new songs. I think we did Artifact and was it Starry Eyes? I can't remember what the other song was.
Okay.
We did 2 songs. We introduced 2 new songs in 2016, and we played them mixed them in the set, and they went pretty well. I mean, people want the hits and the songs that they remember. And it's great. The thing I have to say is that our fans, who are all in their 40s now, and they're all professional, and they're amazing and intelligent and have great careers, we're able to, now they have the means to pay for airline tickets and came to every show. Like people went to Europe, and it was so great. Wow. And they were just so awesome. And, you know, we remember them from the 90s and when they were in their 20s, when they were college kids. And so it's pretty amazing. So they were all back. They all came back, almost all of them. And we remembered a lot of them, which was really cool. But they were supportive of us. So basically anything we played, they would have been supportive of. I mean, we were playing, you know, we were preaching to the choir. You know, we weren't trying to win over anybody, right? We already had our old school fans. Yeah. So, so we had those 2 new songs, and then we were just writing. I had tons of stuff, and Tom had tons of stuff, and Tanya always is super productive. So, and Chris wrote his parts. And so we just put it together and recorded it. And basically this house I'm in now, this is our house in Little Compton. Actually, this is the room we did vocals in. It's a little bedroom in Little Compton. It's an old house. So we worked with Paul Coldery. He is an old friend of ours that did a lot of our B-sides. He's a producer that he did the first Radiohead record. I mean, his resume is crazy.
Wow.
He did the first Hole record. I mean, he's pretty amazing. Anyway, he came and brought his Pro Tools, and we just recorded here at this house that I'm in now in Little Compton. And we did the drum basics over at Stable Sound in Portsmouth, Rhode Island. Steve Rizzo's place. Yeah, it's a nice place. Have you been in there?
No, I just I did a previous interview with someone that recorded there, and we just got in pretty deep of just talking about, you know, that it's literally a stable, that there's like
you did? Oh yeah. Right.
So been talked to a couple of people. I'd love to just check it out whenever.
You should. It's amazing. So that's where we did all our basics. So and then we came and brought and did all our overdubs here at this house.
Nice.
And all the vocals were done here. So sometimes there's a lot of farms around here. So we had to like the sort of near the road, and it would rumble when a truck or trailer would go by, but we'd have to like do another take. But and then Paul mixed it. Paul and Tom Gorman produced it. Tom produced it. Paul mixed it, co-produced. And so that's Dove, sticking with our 4-letter titles. Star, King, and Dove. And we're very proud of that record. We loved it. It was great. And we played that in its entirety, almost every song on that in 2018, on our 2018 tour. So we actually had to cull some of our songs from our older records. So we did get to do all of our songs from the olden days, but we just picked the hits and then we played all of Dove on this tour. Yeah, it's great. So the recording experience was really mellow and fun. It was great. It was, we did King in the Bahamas with Glyn Johns. Yeah. And that was a trip too. That was amazing. That was, it could be stressful at times because he's a real taskmaster, but it was, the location was crazy beautiful. It's amazing.
So you somehow made this island or whatever, like super stressful.
I know. How could you make this island life stressful? I know.
You got a great record out of it. So
yeah, we're really proud of that record. That was live. That was recorded live. Everyone had to do the take. Yeah, it was 4 of us standing in a room, and if someone screwed up, you had to start over again. So it was, we did do some overdubs, obviously, but it was, all the rhythm tracks are absolutely live. That's probably the stressful part of it. So you had to be on your game, you had to play your part. You could do some punching in and stuff like that, but not for not really drums. Chris had to basically nail it every time. Bass I could punch in and stuff, but that was a trip. That's probably what made the island stressful.
Yeah. it seemed like there was like, I guess, kind of going back to the 90s, there was about like a year break from what I've read, and then you connected with L7.
Yeah.
How did you meet up with them, or how did joining that band?
We were friends with a band from New York called the Lunatics, who are fabulous. The Lunatics would play with L7 often, and they told Jennifer Finch had left the band. She was their bass player, and they asked Gina Lunatic if she knew of anybody that played bass. And so I'll give Gina all the props. And she said, "Yeah, I know this girl in Rhode Island who was in Belly." And I think I also got an added boost because Howie Klein from Reprise Records was our guy at Belly, and he also worked with L7. So then there was sort of an industry vouch that I got from him as well. But I have to credit Gina Lunatic with the first person to tell L7 about me. So I met Danita in New York. I met her, and I was really nervous because I was a huge fan, and met her at a little restaurant. And then she said, "Do you want to come out and audition?" So I flew out to LA because that's where they're based, and auditioned, and then waited and went back home, and they told me I got the gig, and I was ecstatic, screaming. Because that record, they had a new record, The Beauty Process, that they had just finished recording, and I don't know if you've heard that record. It's so great.
Yeah.
So such a great record, and so many heavy songs on it, and I was so thrilled. They're so heaviest band I've ever played with. So great. And the thing about L7 is they are frigging hilarious. They are the funniest girls. I mean, I know a lot of funny girls, like Biff Naked is hilarious. Tanya's freaking hilarious. L7 is mental crazy, hilarious. In a van with them is so, the hijinks, I can't even, oh my God. Like, they really are the rock and roll. I mean, they are the real deal. There's no pretense there. They are really hardcore chicks that are really hard rocking. And when you played with them and you took the stage, you had such a power, because Dee Placus is such a powerful drummer.
Yeah.
Our wall of sound, I have a full Mesa Boogie, full stack, RB 400, and their guitar sound is unbeat. It's just, you just could do no wrong when you took the stage with L7. It was a very, very powerful feeling.
Yeah.
It was really amazing. I loved it.
That's awesome.
I played with them for I think it was about 3 years. I saw them. I hadn't seen them in years, and they played in Boston, 2016, I think it was. It was either 2016. Yeah, I think it was and Chill and I went to go see them, and I'd never seen them as an audience member before. And Jennifer Finch was back in her rightful place playing bass, and I had tears running down my face. They were so great. Their sound was so incredible. It was just wonder, and I was so honored that I was actually a part of that for 3 years.
That's great.
That was a really great time. Really. I'm so blessed. When I look back on it, I'm like, oh my God, these things just seem to fall in my lap. I'm so friggin' lucky. Yeah. Oh my God, I don't deserve it.
I think you do. But.
I don't know. Such a bitch. I do not. Oh my God.
Yeah. So how was it connecting with them? Like, did you stay in Rhode Island during that time? Or,
yeah, I commuted. So my brother is a pilot. He works for American. So I was able to get the buddy pass. So I to get cheap airline tickets to go back and forth to rehearse with them out in Los Angeles. And we rehearsed before shows. Like, I'd come out like maybe a week or two early, and we'd do a rehearsals and then go on the road. They toured a lot. They toured a lot all over the world too. I mean, we got to go to Australia and Japan and New Zealand and no, we did the Pacific Rim, but we didn't do. I think we did Japan, and they were always doing the continent, and they were just really big in Europe. Really, a lot of metal fans, and
that's awesome.
Really great festivals, huge festivals. Just they're great. They're still great. I mean, they can still. I mean, they got kneecapped too, like the rest of us. I mean, they had a whole tour lined up for this summer, which sucks. So did the Lunatics. They were getting back together again after like 15 years, and they were playing like punk rock bowling, and they had all those shows lined up for the summer, and just. So yeah, back to L7. That's how I did it. I think it was mostly via commuting. And they would put me up, which was nice. And their manager had an apartment in Hollywood, and I would get to stay there. She didn't live there for some reason. I don't know where she was staying, but I had a place to myself.
Yeah, you're like, all right.
I know.
That works out.
It worked out. So that was really fun. And my brother lived in San Diego. My brother and sister-in-law lived in San Diego.
Oh, okay.
So in between rehearsals, I'd get in a car, I'd rent a car, and I'd go down and see them. And my nephew, Andy, was just born. And so it was nice to, just drive down the coast. So I have very fond memories of that time, spending a lot of time in California, which I had never really done before. I was really, a New England gal. I'd never spent a lot of time on the West Coast, and it was really fun. That's awesome. And they're hilarious, like I said. So. And their friends are great. They are so artistic and creative and original, and their friends are mental and nuts and wonderful artists and great musicians. And I met so many people through them. Yeah.
No, it sounds like it. It's just cool how they just, invited you in and made you a part of it.
I felt like they accepted me like right away. Like I felt like a part of them right away. And it was hard because, Jennifer Finch was a fixture and beloved from a founding member of the band. And, it's hard to be the Sammy Hagar that's coming in from David, filling David Lee Roth's shoes.
Yeah.
Not that I'm comparing myself to Sammy Hagar and David Lee Roth, but, it's hard because people are like, it's kind of like L7 was sort of like the Beatles. You had your favorite Beatle, you had your favorite L7, and there were a lot of Jennifer fans, that I knew that I had to either just like pay her respect or, not try to win them over, but just not fuck up. Right. And, I feel like they made me feel like I belonged from day one, which was really, really, really special.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And you did one record with them, right? So that's,
yes.
Slap Happy.
Yeah, Slap Happy. I actually recorded that. I was sort of leaving then, so it's not like totally amicable at that point, but. Every band, every breakup is that way, and then you're friends again later. But I actually recorded that record on my VS-880 8-track. It was the first digital recorder that you could buy as a consumer, retail. And so we did all the tracks on my VS-880, which was really neat, out in California, in a kid's studio. We tracked all the drums that way and everything. Then we had to bounce everything. It was really boring, but we were able to do it on an 8-track, and then from there someone mixed it. I don't know who ended up mixing it, but so yes, I played on that record with them. I'm not credited as much as I should be, but that's between you and me.
Okay.
No, it's fine. I don't care. That's ancient history.
Okay. Oh, like with like songwriting credits for it, or
no. I think mostly like recording credits and playing credits.
Oh, I gotcha.
And, but that's okay. We're great friends now. It doesn't matter. Yeah. But that was a good experience too, though. I really learned how to record. That helped. That really helped my recording. That was stressful recording. Yeah. I still have my VS-880 if any of your listeners want to buy it.
I'm sure someone might want to buy it. Yeah,
I know it's ancient.
Yeah, but
it's ancient technology, but some people collect that stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Stick to the plan, man. Stick to the plan, man. Motivation.
What was your next musical endeavor after that? Was it, you mentioned Biff a couple of times. Did you connect with her? And was it then after L7 or?
Yep, after L7. So after L7, after I left L7, I came back to the East Coast to be with my beloved Chill and all my dogs. And then Biff Naked called me and she just said, we need a bass player. She's like, and we had been friends. We had been met through Chai Pig. And she's like, we've got these Canadian dates. They tour like crazy. And do you want to join the band? And I was like, yes, I do.
Yeah. Let me think about that.
Think about that. So I flew out to Vancouver, and I have a beloved Chill puts up with so much. I can only do this because I have an amazing life partner. It's the only way. He's watching 3 dogs. And that was then we had 3 dogs. And I flew out to Vancouver and I rehearsed with them and I stayed with them. I think I was with them for 2 or 3 years. They're hardcore tours. They tour. I mean, it's hard to tour Winnipeg in the winter. I mean, they're doing Red Deer, Alberta. They're going to like points north. I mean, they tour in the winter.
Canada.
In Canada. You're driving over the Canadian Rockies, Kelowna. You're playing Saskatchewan, every province. And there's a lot. It's not like the U.S. There's like a lot of desolation between cities. And so they would play like any place that had a club. They were really great about that. She really brings it to every community. That's why she's beloved, because she's been to just about every community in Canada, and people have seen her live in places where bands would normally not go. And I know that because I was in the van.
And you're like, why
sometimes
am I
we
here?
had a tour bus. Yeah, I know.
I've never even heard of this place,
I know. Oh my God. But kids would come out. It was like she packed every venue. It was just awesome. They would love her. And I remember thinking like I was a hot shit and that I could like, I can hold my own on stage. And her manager, Peter, would just be like, he would always offer any band member. He's like, I'll give you $100 if you can get people to take their eyes off of Biff to look at you for a minute. And I was like, oh, fuck, yeah, I got this. And I'm pulling out every rock star move I can think of. And like, nope, fucking beeline at Biff. She is so charismatic. And I was like, God damn. I didn't win the $100. And the guitar player, Doug Fury, he's like, God, no one does. And she's very, I don't know if you've ever seen her live, but she's super charismatic.
No. Okay.
And super smart, super intelligent, great writer, great singer. So that was fun. We did that. I think we did Lollapalooza too. Is that? We came down and did Lollapalooza in the U.S. I just remember mostly doing Canadian touring, but we did tour the U.S. And I think the Lunatics were on that one too. That was the year Green Day headlined. So it was kind of a bro fest. Do you know what I mean? It was a little bit bro heavy. But yeah, that was Lollapalooza. That was, I can't remember what year that was. But so I did a lot of touring with Biff.
Yeah. Okay.
I love her. She's my breast cancer mentor. So she has had breast cancer.
Oh, okay.
So she was my mentor with rock and roll cancer. Like, how do you keep a wig on stage? How do you not throw up when you're playing a gig? I mean, she was just like, I owe her my life. I mean, I love her with everything in my heart. But she really helped me through the worst of the treatment, just because she was like, how small is that club, right? Rockers that had breast cancer that are touring during treatment. So, she helped me through it. So I was really lucky.
Yeah. That's
that was invaluable. I owe her. No, I love her.
And after that, is that when Benny Sizzler started? Or kind of like around like early 2000s?
That was around the time. It was 2000 that Benny Sizzler started.
Yeah. And what was like the inspiration? I mean, obviously it's with Chill and stuff like that, but do you remember the idea of starting that band?
Yes, I do. Chill will tell you, and he told me this. he actually told me this recently. I didn't know that, but I was between bands. I think it was like actually right before was it maybe after I left Biff? I wasn't in a band, and he just said, my girl got to be in a band. He's like, this bitch got to be in a band or she ain't happy. And so he started Benny Sizzler. And he writing, and one of the exercises that he wanted to do too was he was in a great band called One Ton Shotgun, which is a great band.
Oh yeah. Do
you remember those guys?
Yeah, I don't know why I didn't put that together, but thank you.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah. Jeez. Okay.
Such a great band.
Yeah.
With Mark Thomas, who is now in Benny Sizzler, one of the guitar players, and their songs were so great, but they had like 20 riffs on a song. They had the best riffs I've ever heard in my life. And they would put 20 of them in one song. And I was like, dude, you can make 20 songs out of that. Why waste all those riffs in one song? So I remember Chills was like, you know what? My next band is going to be like, I'm going to try to keep the riffs down to 1 or 2. Right. And so we tried to be a super simple band, a super heavy and simple band. And that's how we started. That's what that style of writing started to be. But that just came from a band that had too many good riffs. And so Slim Jim, we had Mike Fleming was our original drummer, and then we got Slim Jim Colleran, who is amazing. Yeah, so that would be, what was that? Was that like 2000? Yeah, so that's my forever band. Like, everybody has a forever band. That's my forever band.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you've done.
And they've been through, they're so like, when Belly got back together, I'm in another band called Band of Their Own, which is an all-girl band in Boston. And like, they're so patient. Like when I had to do Belly stuff or I have to go do Band of Their Own stuff, they're so friggin' great. They're not prima donnas. They're just fun to play with. I love them. They're heavy. They're super, super great people. So supportive of me and supportive of me when I was getting treatment too. Because I was still doing Benny Sizzler during the Belly stuff. So,
yeah.
I did a bunch of Benny Sizzler shows on chemo and they were just so great. They're so great.
Yeah. It's a great band. Yeah.
I know another band that doesn't have a record or have never done anything.
We have some recordings, right? You've done some.
No, we do have some recordings. Yes.
EPs and stuff like that. And
yeah. We do.
Definitely.
We'd like to someday actually put out I would love to put out a physical 45 though. I would love to like design the whole package just because we're designers and it would just be neat to have like a physical thing. So I think one of these days, that's what we're working towards. Actually, Chill's going to be doing some vocals.
Oh.
Yeah. I'm trying to like what direction later.
Oh, cool. But yeah, I'm with you. I've been on kind of like a physical, tangible music kick. I've been trying to, I don't know. Maybe I'm just of a certain age. Definitely. I grew up in like the 90s. So like you brought up Pablo Honey, like that was one of the first cassettes I ever bought. And I just like really connected with that, but it was, just something of like actually having like liner notes and reading through that stuff. So
yeah, we're putting out a B-side record. Belly's putting out a B-side record that Run Out Groove. They will do reissues of people's digital stuff and put it on vinyl. And they have like a voting process. So they had B-sides for Belly. I think Sinead O'Connor was the artist. And I can't remember, there's a third artist. And so the fans vote on which one they want to put out next to press and vinyl. And we won, which was nice. Just last week, actually. So they're going to put out, and we're just chilling our designers, and Chris Gorman is a photographer. We're going to do the packaging for it. So it's neat. So it is going to be another physical thing. And it's going to be all of our B-sides in one place that were never, they're digital. They're on this CD or on that CD or whatever, but they're going to be on really nice vinyl, beautiful vinyl. We're doing like colored vinyl and stuff and nice packaging. So that's really cool to have that.
Yeah.
But I feel like I need to do that with Benny Sizzler now. I really do. We really need to get, I'm going to chill. We got to get on that.
yeah, I mean, you're just talking about graphic design. I love the story of Greenwood Associates Design. If you want to share anything about that, in addition to that, I read that you did the logo design for Rocket. Is that correct?
Rocket. Yeah.
Yeah. Can you just talk a little bit about some of the graphic design that you've done in the past, and then again, if you want to talk about the company.
Well, first of all, aren't you sweet to do your homework and to read our little bio section? That's really nice.
No, it's an awesome story.
Thank you.
I just love the history of it.
Yeah, we didn't know how when my sister passed away and we took over Greenwood Associates as a company that my dad started in the 50s, early 60s. We just had a lot of the same clients, but we just felt like we didn't know how much information to put in there. And we just said, you know what, let's just tell the story the way it is. Mm-hmm. And how my dad passed it on to my sister, and she worked with Chill, and Chill worked there while I was on the road all the time. And then she left the company to us, and we just felt like we needed to honor her by talking about her in our little bio section. And it's sad, like my brother said, now, when I go to a company website, he's like, should I be crying? And I was like, yeah, I know. It's kind of, it's very sad, but, it's also inspiring. So, we've been we're really lucky. We've had the same clients for, 25 years. So, and
so a lot of nonprofits, right? And colleges.
Yep. Colleges and nonprofits, and Rhode Island Kids Count, which is a children's advocacy organization in Providence, is phenomenal. And we love them. They're our number one. So that's Greenwood Associates. I mean, some of our clients, COVID did affect us too, though. We were doing something for the Land Trust here in Little Compton, and, big events that couldn't happen. And we were doing all the signage and stuff for it. Those events were canceled. So the job was canceled. I just picked up Salve Regina as a new client, Salve Regina University, and all their events were canceled. And so it's tough, it's tough for the design world. I think some people are finding a way to, to work around it. We're lucky that we have a couple of dedicated clients that we love and are still staying with us. But, who knows what's going to happen, how long lockdown's going to be for, or it's Chill's painting, though. He's a great fine art painter. So he's able to keep himself artistically busy if he's not graphic design busy. I'm doing a lot of recording and writing music wise, and so we are still busy, but we need to I don't know, we have to, like everybody, we need to see what's going to happen in the future. But so far, knock on wood, we still have our company, so
that's good.
Because that's our day job.
With the Rocket logo, how did that come about? Were they just looking for something? And that was my friend Jeff Adams and I were just sketching around with some ideas that James McGrath, the guy I told you about, who's now the president of the law school at Western Michigan, he needed a logo, and we were artists, and so we just came up with that thing, and then I finalized it, and then took a slide of it and projected it across the street and traced it right on the side of the club. So that's how. I don't know if you've ever seen pictures of it painted on the wall on the outside of Richmond Street. I have, actually.
It was really huge. It was great, but that's how we did it, with my dad's Kodak slide projector from across the street, and then just got up on a ladder and traced it. Yeah, and that's So cool. That's kind of sort of become iconic. They made shirts, and somebody redid shirts. Our friend Liam Prince, he reissued that shirt and is selling those, I think. That made the rounds, that logo. That was really fun.
Nice.
I did a Christmas card for Aerosmith. It was in the early stages of Photoshop, and I did a naked deer, and it was called For Those We Hold Dear. And so when you see the card, it's just a deer. For those we hold dear, it's a deer. But then when you open it, it had like a cutout. You open it, it was a deer with big boobs and cleavage, and that was very classy. It's very classy. And I like to think also around that time when I was doing their Christmas card, I did they had a record called Get a Grip, and they were looking for ideas for Get a Grip. So I was doing a bunch of sketches, and I came up with milking a cow, like a lady milking a cow with a brand Aerosmith on the udder. And Mother of God, that's what they ended up with the cover. And I feel like I'm such sour grapes in this podcast, and I didn't get credit for that. I feel like I didn't get.
I was like, that is the cover, isn't it? Like that.
Kids to know. Yeah, I'm like, God damn it, that was my idea. They stole my idea.
Wow.
They want to pay me the $100.
Yes, just pay me the $100, guys.
Just give me $100. But I feel like I didn't get credit for this. I didn't get credit for that. No, that's not how I do it when I come across like that. But so that was a fun project. But that was so that's my design. But that didn't. Yeah, they say it's not my design.
Yeah, well, I mean, the last question I have for you, it's a big one, but just wanted to ask, like, what would you say is your greatest music accomplishment to this point?
Oh, wow. I mean, like the obvious ones are probably like standing up on stage, opening for U2 in Paris. You know, that's kind of an obvious thing, but as far as an accomplishment going, I would say writing is probably really rewarding now that I'm doing more writing in Belly and in Benny Sizzler. I would say writing is a pretty decent accomplishment, and having a song. I think probably getting a song on a record is pretty, on a major label is kind of like, I don't know, I'm pretty proud of that, and being registered with BMI. And, I think that's kind of cool.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, Gail, thank you so much for your time. It's been incredible to talk to you and hear all of the incredible things that you've done. This is awesome.
I hope I didn't bore you guys too much. Thank you so much for having me, James. It's great talking to you too.